And there's been this discussion about nocturnal erections, and there are people in the TRT community that think that they are not necessary just because maybe they have like adequate erectile quality when they're having sex. But I can tell you, looking at both the literature, looking at studies on erectile dysfunction, what people are doing to revive penile fibrosis and hypoxia and a lack of oxygen saturation, these really, really weird cases where after, you've got guys removing their prostates surgically due to prostate cancer, how they're using vacuum devices and PDE5 inhibitors to restore erectile quality. As a consultant, I mean, erection quality is like one of the biggest things that people come to me to resolve. And once we determine it isn't exclusively hormonal, we've got to focus on the penile rehab side of things. And nocturnal erections, okay, nighttime erections are the most important part of that. So in this video, what I want to do is break down a strategy. I also want to discuss the strategy from the perspective of the scientific literature, as well as from like the physiology of nocturnal erections and how getting them adequate is that's your baseline pillar to facilitating restoration of erections on TRT, not on TRT, any guy that has erection issues. We'll talk about the use of PDE5 inhibitors specifically at nighttime to facilitate nocturnal erections. We'll talk about vacuum devices. Yes, penis pumps, the best ones to have in this particular case, whether you have erection issues or you don't. I mean, if you want harder erections that are more spontaneous, that come on quicker and last longer, you're going to want to watch this video. All right, boys, look, no Cortex Labs video is complete without a funny meme in the beginning. So read them and weep, boys. Okay, look, Cortex Labs is a performance optimization and hormone consulting company for men. We got a range of products ranging from nootropic stacks to coaching. The most popular product right now is the nootropic stack that I built that's like Adderall without the side effects. It's called Torque. Down in the description of this video, you can literally buy a bottle, have it at your desk, 2 capsules in, and you are firing on an entirely different level. It is still buy one, get one free because the sales are incredible. Code is down in the description below. It's torquebogo. Go get a bottle. If you need to hire me for TRT protocol redesign, that is where I do the bulk of my work. I've also got one-on-one ongoing packages for hormone restoration, for erectile libido restoration, for nootropics, dopamine restoration, host of other things. You can do so in under a minute at livecortex.com. First, let's take a dive into the literature to a paper that is titled Combination of Vacuum Erection Device and PDE5 Inhibitors as Salvage Therapy in PDE5 Inhibitor Non-Responders with Erectile Dysfunction. Yes, there are people that can take 20 milligrams of tadalafil or 50 to 100 milligrams of sildenafil, which is Viagra, and not get a proper erectile response. Those are people likely with penile fibrosis that have had a large degree of penile intrapenile hypoxia, so a lack of oxygen saturation over an extended period of time, and these things are almost always induced by androgen deprivation. This is why this channel and the stuff that we talk about is so fucking critical for men. I mean, I'm finding studies these days that if they can be interpreted as dihydrotestosterone is one of the most important androgens for cardiovascular health, that all manner of problems start happening when the DHT goes below a certain threshold. We see this in cases of people with PFS. They have all kind of glucocorticoid problems and brain problems and obviously erectile issues. Anyway, some people don't respond to PDE5 inhibitors, and in this case, using an International Index of Erectile Function, it's a questionnaire, and a couple other measures, they found statistically significant improvements over baseline with PDE5 inhibitor therapy plus vacuum erection device therapy. Vacuum erection device refers to basically penis pumps, but there are effectively medical grade ones that you can buy that you don't need a prescription for, but that are highly effective. Let's take the Bathmate as an example. Okay, this is not a promotional video. I have no affiliation with this company, but they got 3 different ones. They got the Hydro 7, the Hydro Max 7, and the Hydro Extreme. Now, these are actual penis pumps, effectively medical grade penis pumps that work very effectively, that fill the container with water, warm water, which sort of prevents some of the damage that might take place if you've got a pump that's entirely too tight. You don't want that, okay? You don't want necessarily even want to be pumping until a full erection. I mean, you can pump to a 75. You're still getting massive oxygenation of the erectile tissue, which is what you need. And by the way, what you get with nocturnal erections. So for people not having nocturnal erections, your erections are suffering, despite the maybe undecided nature of science around the purpose of nocturnal erections. The purpose of nocturnal erections are oxygenation of the tissues to maintain erectile quality for men. If it isn't the actual reason you have them, there's other physiologic reasons why you have them. They do maintenance erections, and you need them for the maintenance of erections. So what you're doing with these pumps, okay, and if I were to give a suggestion, it'd be the Hydromax 7. It's between 5 and 7 inches. That's effectively medium to somewhat larger size, male penis. But depending on size, whatever you got, you got different sizes or whatever. So the Hydromax 7, $169, okay, it's a pretty price. It's a high ticket, whatever. But these are vacuum erection devices that allow you to effectively serve the same purpose as a nocturnal erection, which is to oxygenate the tissues in the penis. And again, the number one cause of a lack of oxygenation and a lack of nocturnal erections is androgen deprivation, okay? And here are some mechanisms by which androgen deprivation induces erectile dysfunction to the point of penile fibrosis. You've got penile tissue atrophy, okay? Actual atrophy of the tissue, alterations in the dorsal nerve structure. That's a primary nerve that's responsible for sensation. Alterations in endothelial morphology. That's impairment in the lining of the blood vessels. Okay, you don't fucking want that. Reduction in trabecular smooth muscle content. Increased collagen deposition in the extracellular matrix, and then accumulating of fat-containing adipocytes in subtunical regions of corpus cavernosum. So these are the things that go wrong. This is actual identified, proven things that go wrong in erectile dysfunction when you're androgen deprived for a long time and when you're not getting nocturnal erections. I mean, the whole purpose of androgens, aside from muscle building and all these other positive things, is to facilitate nocturnal erections so that this stuff here doesn't happen. All right, you want oxygenation of the tissues at nighttime. This is an article on Medscape which refers to a study that was done. Let me close this. That is titled "Long-Term Nightly Sildenafil Promotes Normal Erectile Function," which it goes on to say that the use of sildenafil, it's 50 to 100 milligrams at nighttime, promotes normal erectile function via fostering nocturnal erections. Again, I want to hammer this point home. The critical nature of nocturnal erections is oxygenating the tissue of the penis at nighttime so that throughout the rest of the day, you've got a healthy penile architecture and vasculature. The patients in this study were assigned to two groups. Group 1 took 50 milligrams of sildenafil, so that is Viagra, nightly at bedtime. Group 2 took 50 to 100 milligrams of sildenafil on demand. The investigators also followed a third group that consisted of patients with ED who chose not to receive any medical therapy. Patients weak on average were 47.1 years old. The investigators ended up stating that this is the only study that we know that has investigated the long-term effects of taking erectogenic therapy on a daily basis. After only 1 year, okay, so it did take some time, sildenafil taken regularly at bedtime may be able to bring about regression of erectile dysfunction, or maybe a useful tool for curing ED. Yeah, when you've got ED and it's not hormonally induced, or no amount of DHT as an example, and obviously testosterone can fix it, then you've got to go back to penile rehab. Yes, the androgens are critical. Yes, having too high of an estrogen milieu or a prolactin milieu is going to inhibit erections and fuck things up further. But ultimately, if you've got all those things right, including exogenous DHT, and it's not resolving the issue after 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, then you really got to look at penile rehab. But what this is highlighting is the critical significance of nocturnal erections. I'm just going to keep on coming back to the importance of nocturnal erections. Again, saturating the tissues with oxygen and blood at nighttime maintenances erectile quality moving forward. Now, the question really becomes on this, let's just move this over a little bit here, is could you use tadalafil or Cialis instead? I mean, some people have unfavorable responses to sildenafil or Viagra, whether it's excessive heart beating or they get a little low blood pressure. I mean, I got people reporting getting cold sores, probably from the citrate and the sildenafil citrate. Sensation loss, and might even be increasing prolactin. So sildenafil here and there, I mean, whatever, it might be effective, but it does have side effects, and I don't think it's the ideal PDE5 inhibitor. My honest assessment of the matter is that yes, you could use tadalafil as well, but I would suggest using 10 milligrams of tadalafil a day and be taking it in the latter part of the day so that the effect duration window is most prominent or prevalent at nighttime. So you're taking it 5, 6 p.m. You really have the max effect of tadalafil in the first 4 to 6 hours. So as you're going to sleep at 10 p.m., you're right in that max window of efficacy, so that throughout the night you have nocturnal erections. If folks are concerned about 10 milligrams of tadalafil a day, I have run it in the past. I don't need to run it right now. I've got clients that run 10 a day, and I know many doctors, and I've had conversations. I've actually hired endocrinologists. I've hired MDs specifically so I can pick their brains about this, and they see unanimously no problem with 10 milligrams a day of tadalafil. Some people even prescribe 15 milligrams a day for serious situations. Now, what do I think you should do in this case? Okay, so we've determined that the overarching point of this video, and the major point that I want to get across to people, is that nocturnal erections do serve a major purpose. If you're on TRT and you're not having morning wood and you're not having nocturnal automatic erections, that when you wake up, your junk is just fucking hard as a rock, that is a problem. And if it isn't manifesting as a problem now, it will eventually become a problem. Now, obviously, there's modification of your hormone protocol. There's reducing the estrogen. There's reducing prolactin if it's up. There's getting into cardio. There's all manner of things that you should do. Your protocol should be dialed in. If you need to bring in exogenous DHT, do that. That's going to over time help reverse some of the endothelial damage in penile tissue so that you can get erections back. And in all of the studies, especially rat castration studies, dihydrotestosterone, but not testosterone, restores penile function and erections. But if the hormone, modifying the hormones isn't doing it right away, and you honestly want a backup either way, then this is what I suggest you do to facilitate proper nocturnal erections so that you can get restoration of erectile quality. Okay, this is a Google spreadsheet, which I will link down in the description of this video for everybody to have access to, which is titled the 21-day bathmate routine. Pumpy ding dong. That's kind of fucking funny, bro. Wherein it describes here, let me shrink myself a little more so we can actually see all this. It describes a strategy of using the Hydromax 7 or an otherwise somewhat equivalent penis pump to be pumping so that you can facilitate oxygenation of penile tissues to restore erectile quality over time. What you're doing here in the event that you're not getting nocturnal erections is you are kind of taking the place of nocturnal erections by manually getting oxygen into the tissues of the penis, attempting to reverse the fibrosis process as well as the otherwise tissue atrophy that happens with androgen deprivation. Now, whether you want to do this or not, like exactly to the T here, I think I've seen different things work, but let's just quickly go over it. What you do is on day 1, you run 4 low interval, pumps, right? And the low intervals are 30% while you pump to 30% of your erection size. So you're not pumping until a full erection. It's just about 30%. You hold that for 2 minutes. Okay, and then you drop the pressure by a half, so 50%, then you hold for 30 additional seconds. That completes one set, that's 2.5 minutes, and you're doing this 4 times for a total of 10 minutes. And then, what this strategy kind of lays out is that on day 2, you are essentially doing the same thing. So for the first week, you're basically doing that same thing all the way up until you get to the point of, looks like day 6. On day 6, you're executing this last column here, which is called false erections, which is where in rapid succession, you go from 30%, a 30% erection to a full, they call it false erection, right? Because you're inducing it via a vacuum erectile device, like the Bathmate Hydromax 7 or whatever penis pump that you can get that's medically somewhat equivalent or pretty effective. And what you do in a 2-minute period here, over a 2-minute period, is you go in rapid succession from 30% to a full erection, and then you deflate the pump back to 30%, then you go back to a full erection. You do that for an entire 2 minutes and achieve 10 full erections right here with a vacuum erection device. Now, look, there's a second week and there's a third week where these numbers change. So again, I will link this down in the description of this video if you guys want to pay attention to this and start doing it. But what I can tell you is that pumping, especially toward the end of the night, but doing it throughout the day is still going to be very, very beneficial for you, does help in restoring erectile quality via oxygenating the tissue, saturating with blood. And again, serving the same purpose as nocturnal erections, which are very fucking critical for restoring erections or for making erections just harder and bigger. If you want a better sex life, I mean, this is for you as well. But back to the combination of things, the strategy that I think people should execute is something similar to this Google Doc here, where you've got like just a defined strategy of pumping, as well as the addition of PDE5 inhibitors, either 50 to 100 milligrams of Viagra or sildenafil at night, or 10 milligrams of tadalafil, between 5 and call it 7 p.m. every day. If you do just those two things, right, assuming that your androgen protocol is straight and assuming that estrogen isn't over like your erectile response range, like I can't even give a number these days because I've just doing consulting, I've seen all kinds of fucking shit. I see people that have perfect erections at 70 picograms per milliliter. I have people that have ED at 60 picograms per milliliter, right? They need to be at 30. It is relative to your TRT dose, again, to a certain threshold, after which no matter how high your testosterone is, estrogen is going to cause ED. You run again something like the the Bathmate, where's the Hydromex 7 here, okay, something like this, or whatever size makes sense for you. You're running on a strategy like this. There's all manner of different strategies. You could pump at 50% erection for 10 straight minutes twice a day. That's also easier, and it's I think equally effective. Combined with PDE5 inhibitor therapy, targeting nocturnal erections at night. I mean, the whole purpose of this strategy is targeting nocturnal erections at night. And yes, they are critically important for the maintenance of penile tissue. In fact, when you're androgen deprived and when you therefore don't have nocturnal erections, you starve penile tissue of blood and oxygen. And this is where all of this negative stuff starts to happen. And the worse this all gets, okay, the worse erections get from a lack of blood flow and a lack of oxygen saturation, and the more this atrophy and the changes in the dorsal nerve and the alterations in the endothelium, the smooth muscle content, the more that this stuff happens, the harder it is to reverse, which ultimately means the longer it's going to take. And you might even need to add some fucking pee shots to it, and do some crazy other things like injecting Trimix at night before you go to sleep. So you have these nocturnal erections, you get the blood flow and the oxygen saturation, and you can restore erectile quality that way. I recognized in my hormone consulting journey that like I had to have penile rehabilitation as an additional add-on in rare cases where there was androgen deprivation for a considerably long time. People that were hypogonadal for a while before they went on TRT, that's specifically what we're looking at. People who just had erection issues, and TRT was, that was one of the reasons they went on TRT. If the protocol was right and we had stayed at the right protocol for considerable time and erections didn't fully resolve without the use of PDE5 inhibitors or Trimix or whatever, well then, we had to do penile rehab. And the thing that I've learned to target, like where I've been most effective in restoring these guys' erections, is targeting nocturnal erections, targeting both nocturnal erections as well as inducing somewhat of the same state via vacuum erection devices during the day so that they can oxygenate the tissues of the junk. I don't know where this comes from, but out there on Reddit, there is some debate about this, and there are people that actually say that nocturnal erections don't matter and that they don't get nocturnal erections and still have erectile quality. And what I would wager is that they're on their fucking way to penile atrophy and potentially fibrosis, which is going to be harder to reverse. Eventually, they're going to get there, just the same as people with elevated estradiol at 90 or 100 picograms per milliliter, and things are fine for now. At a week 10, a week 11, week 12, whatever, however long it takes for you, you're going to eventually run into ED. So yes, you do need nocturnal erections. You want to do everything you can to keep nocturnal erections. Like, just because you have fluctuating androgens and maybe you don't have high levels of testosterone in the morning or at nighttime and you're not getting nocturnal erections, that is a problem. All right. You need them high. People injecting testosterone, whether you're using cream or you're using prop, or you're using, sipping it to a lesser extent, because it's kind of always elevated if you're using a longer ester, but cream or prop, you might want to consider applying the cream for the bulk of your dose of the cream at nighttime, as well as if you're injecting test prop, okay, inject 10, 15 milligrams in the day. If you're on a 50 milligram dose a day or whatever, then inject the rest of it at nighttime. You want to facilitate as much testosterone as possible while you're sleeping. And no, that shouldn't give you anxiety if your health is straight and your neurotransmitters are straight and you don't eat like an asshole and you don't fucking drink like an asshole and you've got all other things correct. You're not taking things that are causing you to be overstimulated like fucking Vyvanse and a bunch of other shit. That should not cause you to have sleep disruption. I'm on, 500 milligrams, a half a gram of test right now and sleep like a baby. You want the nocturnal erections, okay? And if you can add PD5 inhibitors plus vacuum erection devices and do it all in a strategic way to facilitate nocturnal erections, you're gonna have restoration of erectile quality eventually, and that's what this video is about. If you need to hire me for this stuff, in addition to getting the right TRT protocol or HRT plus protocol dialed in and nailed down, which is my specialty, also my specialty is penile rehab. I've had to sort of get into that area of rehabilitation because sometimes the right hormone protocol isn't enough for people that have had androgen deprivation. Now, I've got a range of different consults that are ongoing one-on-one packages. You've got a 1 month, a 3 month, better yet, a 6 month. And I've got an entire year program for this. This is where we get a lot of work done. Listen, it's not going to be for everybody, but if you have the budget, hire me. It's my most rewarding work, and it's the work where we get a lot done in the most restoration. If you got issues with erections and you need restoration, you got issues with TRT, we got a TRT protocol designed specific consult on here, hire me. All right. It takes about a minute at livecortex.com. Then we're booked and we're on the fact finding call within a day. For those of you nootropics folks, again, the Torque Nootropic Stack, my brainchild, very, very powerful nootropic stack that I built, is buy one, get one free right now for a short time longer. We're just maintaining the sale because we're selling a lot of bottles, frankly, and people love this stack. The code for that is torquebogo, and the link is down in the description of this video. You're going to love the stack. Go get a bottle and get one for free. All right, brother. It has been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you. Hope you have a great day. Hope you're having a great week. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Much more content coming soon. Live stream this Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Be there, be square. Make sure you're subbed. Hit the like button. Thank you for being here. All right. Honestly, I'm indebted, and I'll talk to you guys on the next one.